them come. This is their fate.
All right. Let me get my Birdman hands in there. All right. Welcome back to the House of Wolves podcast. We didn't have one last week, but we're back like we never left. We got a lot more topics to talk about, so I'm going to try to keep it quick, fast, and to the point with you guys today. We got to talk about Dragon's Dogma 2. We got to talk about the Unreal Engine stuff, talk about Marvel 1940 something. We also got to just have conversations about Rise of Ronin, Horizon Forbidden West coming to PC, all things handhelds, Xbox a new handheld potentially, Phil Spencer thinking where the game industry is going. So much to talk about, so little time. So before we get started, per usual, Jalen, Josh, tell the people how you been, what you've been up to, what you've been doing, what games you've been playing, if you beat anything. I don't think y'all have, but if you beat anything. And yeah, how's life going?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I haven't beat any games this week, but I've been trying my best.
Trash.
I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I really want to push through this as soon as possible. I want to finish it in the next week, but I don't know how that's gonna be because I just reached chapter 8, and the game has 14 chapters. But what I decided to do is it's kind of unfortunate that I'm not gonna like force myself to do the open world stuff. I'm just gonna like push through the main story. And the reason why is because I don't think any of the open world stuff is bad, but it is time consuming, and it is so much that I feel like I'm doing like 4 or 5 hours of like just filler. Even though it might be fun, it's not like moving the story forward.
Yeah.
And then I'll do the story. And I feel like the pacing that way just doesn't work for me. So I'm just gonna do the main story, and if I care about the extra stuff, then I'll do the extra stuff. I haven't had to bump the difficulty down yet, but I'll have to see because I'm playing on dynamic, and it's supposed to adjust depending on how good you're doing, how many items you got stored up, and it'll adjust to like trying to make it more difficult. But if I do feel like I get stuck, I might bump it down to normal just because I don't feel like dynamic is that good. It really just feels like you'll be in you'll be doing like normal fights and it's easy, and then all of a sudden you'll get to a regular fight against a zebra, and then it'll kick you for 3,000 damage. Like, okay, how did that happen? uh, so
Wow.
we'll see. Yeah, but I don't know if I have to bump it down or not because it's that difficult. It's just it'll be random spikes in damage. Otherwise, I'm enjoying it. I just reached the Golden Saucer, which is like the big casino area, so it's supposed to be a lot of fun stuff here. But we'll see what happens. And then after this, I'm gonna try to finish it up in the next week if I can. Uh, Partly because, like I said, I got the PlayStation 5 for this game, and I wanted to play some other games, but actually looking at it and what it costs to like buy games used or buy them digitally and stuff like that. I kind of just feel like I would prefer to play whatever game Sony games on PC at this point. Even though they run most Sony first party games run decent on the PS5, a lot of games at this point are either have like bad performance modes like Final Fantasy VII, or it's it's targeting 30 but it's not even reaching 30 on console. Uh, so if I'm gonna struggle with frame rate, I'd rather do it on PC at this point. So I'm probably gonna sell my PS5 after I finish this game. I mean, luckily they did announce the Stellar Blade demo is this week. Even though I don't think I'm gonna like the game, I'm gonna try it soon as like. But after that, I'm gonna this mug and yeet it. get my uh get my little money back, and I'm put that towards something else. I mean, maybe in the future it's a PlayStation 5 Pro or a PlayStation 6, but right now I feel like I don't see the benefit for me to play games on console when I can just play it on PC. Uh,
Yeah, a big
that being
component of that.
said,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, a big component of that for me that drove it is seeing a lot of console games like not run well,
Yeah.
or yeah, they're and if the game is going to be 25 FPS on console, then I kind of will just not play it on console. But I have an alternative where it possibly can run better on my system, or maybe the game just doesn't run good at all, and so I'll just skip it altogether.
Yeah.
But when I'm making those decisions on the game by game case, it feels like, why play it on console at this point if everything's going to be like that? Yeah, other than playing Final Fantasy, I was looking at I've been playing Dragon's Dogma a little bit, and I know we've been talking about it a lot. Uh, I really like Dragon's Dogma 1. I was looking forward to this, but it feels like it had a weird like marketing period. But then
Yep.
before the game came out, a lot of people had a lot of positive impressions. But actual launch and like performance was pretty bad, which we'll talk about later. So
Hmm.
I was worried about how it would run on my system. So uh, I did end up buying it and trying it out and like testing a whole bunch of different configurations, but based on like the performance analysis that Digital Foundry did, there's not a whole lot you can do to alleviate it, but the game landed at least in a decent place for me. With VRR and I get pretty much a really good experience, minus just like the main cities. Um, But other than that, the game has been really fun. Like, I don't know when you're gonna play it, Deontay, and I'm not gonna try to oversell it, but the game, it feels very like you go out into the world, and what Capcom did with the world is interesting because like you play a lot of games like I'm playing Final Fantasy right now, where it feels like the open world is a big open plain. You got a couple trees, it got a couple rivers, you see some mountains in the distance, but otherwise it feels like a big open like plain. But like Dragon's Dogma doesn't feel like that. Like you go out into the open world and it feels like you in a forest, and there are a whole bunch of trees, and the trees are like really close, and they're all the ground is not even, and you get a whole bunch of like light shafts coming through the trees, so it looks and feels very immersive. Not to the level of like Ghost of Tsushima, but like when you in Ghost of Tsushima and you in the grass fields, or you're in like the area with a bunch of trees, like the environment feels like very uh immersive and natural. And I think that's something that they probably learned from like Monster Hunter World or something like that. But they made a really nice environment. So that was the first impression where the game like feels nice and immersive, and it looks very pretty, even though it's like color wise it's not like popping out like Horizon. But like when you walk in the environments, like it feels very pretty with like how they did the lighting. The lighting is very good. The combat is fun. It's not so far. It's not that different from the first one. Just a little bit more, you know, fine tuned. One thing I didn't know, or at least I haven't figured out, is that the game doesn't have a lock on. Uh,
Oh, interesting.
all no third person lock on. But you're fighting like monsters and stuff that you would see in Monster Hunter or even like Elden Ring. Uh, it makes it very deliberate. Like your character moves a little bit slower, you turn a little bit slower. Like if you want to block, for example, Dark Souls, you put up your shield, and
Hmm.
if the enemy's behind you, you just keep your shield up and you turn, rotate your character and you do a 180. That way you can block behind you. But in Dragon's Dogma, you can't do that. You have to put your shield down, turn around, put your shield back up. Or there is a quick turn ability, but you have to like um, you hold the shield and you tap the quick turn ability, but you have to hit the direction that you want to turn. You can't just do a 180. If you want to do like a 45-degree turn, you can do it. But it's a lot more like deliberate.
Hmm.
So it's hard to explain without actually feeling it. But the gameplay feels very good when you do it right, and an enemy is jumping at you and you do a 45-degree turn instead of a 90-degree turn, and you block them,
Gotcha.
and then grab them, and then the pawn. Well, there is one thing that I learned. I haven't reached it yet, but you know how they talked a lot about not wanting to like handhold players and things like that.
Yep.
Um,
That was a big thing for them at the beginning
yeah,
of basically through their entire development. No hand holding.
Yeah, that is true because like I reached a cave, and in video games you get to a cave, you want to explore it, beat the enemies, and find the treasure. So I did that, and then I found where the treasure is, and it's behind the locked door, and I can't get to it. So there's this different path that you can drop down into that room, but if you drop down, the fall damage is too much, and it'll kill you, even if you got full health. So I'm trying to figure out what can I do, uh, and there's a lot of ways to do it. Like you can have a magic ability that makes you fall slow or something to reduce fall damage. Or if you can throw one of your AI teammates down the hole and they survive, you can jump down and they will catch you.
Oh.
They'll catch you. You won't take any fall damage, and then you can open the chest. But the ones that I had with me couldn't survive it, so I had to find another solution. But that is one solution to it. But they also made some controversial decisions. So online, there's a lot of people talking about. I'm not gonna spoil the whole thing, but y'all played Sekiro, right? And in
Yeah.
Sekiro, that you get to
Of
a
course.
point where some NPCs can get sick, and if you don't take care of them, then like maybe they can die or stuff like that. Uh,
Yep.
the point of that in Sekiro is so that you feel like there's some sort of pressure where you want to not keep dying and not keep reviving, which is gonna make the world get worse and stuff like that. Overall,
Mhm.
that mechanic, it was there, but it was pretty easy to mitigate the effects. You can like heal people pretty easily, and it didn't like actually make a big problem. Just people would cough and their dialogue might change, things like that. Dragon's Dogma took that idea, but made it real, where there is a disease that will spread to NPCs, and they will die, and it can go to any NPC, even if the NPC is the main quest person that you need. The main quest person can get the disease, and
What?
eventually they can die, and you can't do the main quest because they die.
Oh wow. Now, that's interesting. They
Out
really
there,
want the everybody's experience to be unique, huh?
yeah, there is a way to circumvent it and fix it. Even if they die, you can kind of like there's a way to bring people back from the dead. But yeah, it's a very very involved like game, and I think we're gonna be talking about it for people gonna be talking about it online for a while, because it is very fun and it has mechanics that like are made to not just frustrate, but made to make the game um
Memorable?
challenging, memorable. Yeah, not like making players engage with things that maybe don't feel good, but it's still a challenge that you might feel good overcoming.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's not like instant gratification. It's more, you're gonna deal with these stipulations, and overcoming that is gonna make the experience like fun, or that's the idea. But
Okay.
otherwise, yeah, we can talk about PC performance, but my impressions of it are really positive so far. I really like the game. I want to play more of it. It's kind of unfair to Final Fantasy VII because I once I played it, I was like, dang, I've been playing this for 5 hours. I already don't want to go back to Final Fantasy. uh, but
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about
Okay.
your week, Dylan.
What you been up to, Jalen?
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I've been trying to beat this dog on Persona. Uh,
Where what
that's really
month are you
about it.
on?
I'm at the end of December, so
Oh, well, you
uh,
almost finished, G.
yeah. But
Yeah,
it's like
might as well.
I feel bad because I'm like I feel like the game dragging on, and I'm not finding enjoyment playing it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so I was thinking about. I remember I was talking to y'all a little bit. Well, first, so let me just take it back real quick. How I've been doing throughout the week. I've been fine. I mean, just exercising. Same old, nothing special. Getting ready to go to Japan. This, that, and the third. That's pretty much it. Now,
Yep.
back to Persona. I've been neglecting some of my duties. Like there's one day I was supposed to go to the gym, but I'm like, I need to beat this Persona. I need to beat this Persona. I'm trying to do it, and things are dragging out, and I'm running out of things to try to get through my day and stuff. I think I went to the arcade for like a week straight. I was happy to see the exams because they're gonna push me through these days. I'm looking like, bro, I need to get through these days, and then they doing like weird stuff, taking away my carries. I'm like, bro, y'all know we supposed to go to Tartarus, man. Like, what y'all doing? Like, y'all know we had this plan, bro, and then you gonna go malfunction on me, I guess, or Shorty want to cry because her dad got blicked. Like, spoilers, my bad. Like, I'm just playing. I'm playing, but it was just, it's just different things I'm running into. Like, I just want the game to be done, and I almost put it down because I kind of got a gist of like what's gonna happen and stuff like that. But it's like, um, it get a little repetitious. I mean, going through the day stuff, I've been, like you said before, I've been fast forwarding things like the social link things, not really caring too much about. I'm just talking to them because I think that correlate what you get in the Twilight fragments. Um, those sorts of things like the Tartarus runs and stuff. I'm like, all right, the block in, I need to go do this. So I ain't really been finding the most enjoyment out of like, doing all those things, but I mean, I think the game cool and stuff like that. And I was talking to you about getting Persona 5 like on my Steam Deck and stuff, but playing
Mhm.
this and seeing how long it take and knowing Persona 5 probably gonna have some points. I feel like Persona 5 ain't have as many points like this, but until I got to like the end of the game,
Mhm.
where I felt like it was dragging, but I just kind of felt like, all right, I got to go into TARDIS. I got to go grind a little bit to go be ready for like the next full moon operation, go save the people. I'm like, yeah, I just need this game to be done. So, but other than that, I mean, I ain't really been playing nothing. I mean, I've been looking at my Steam Deck for other games. I might want, I might get Stank Souls 2 Skyward the First Sin on that mug because they said it run great. You know, but other than that, man, I ain't really been doing too much anything, man. I just need this Persona beat. I'm gonna beat this game before I go to Japan, bro. Like that's what's gonna happen. That's absolute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say it
I
no
don't
more.
remember the pacing in January, but yeah, once you get through the school stuff in January, you get to the last day of the month, and it's like this is a point of no return. You do whatever you need to do, and you gonna knock out the rest of Tartarus. So you pretty much there. It's
Yeah.
just you say you've been putting a lot of time and like putting you like not doing real life stuff like going to the gym. So yeah, it make it drag on. I mean, I guess that is a problem with JRPGs, where like if you have like a million hours to waste, then you get your money's worth and you just keep playing the game forever. But like we was all feeling the same thing in Persona 5. It's like uh this game didn't need to be 100 hours.
No,
Yeah,
Here you
they definitely don't need to be that long, bro.
they
I'd be like, all
tweaking,
right, bro. Like,
tweaking.
yeah, really tweaking, bro. Like, hold on, bro. Like, it don't need to be that long. But like, some things can be condensed. I think it's just when you go on a I think what I noticed with this game is like similar like in Persona 5 Mementos when you go into Tartarus, you like, all right, well I'm doing these things, I'm kind of grinding because I know something coming up, but I don't really it's not really in front of you like, dang, what am I like? I mean, I guess you know
Mhm.
what you're getting ready for, but it ain't like nothing exciting gonna happen during your grind. Like, all right, I'm finna finally go fight this boss in this dungeon. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Persona enemies to me are not interesting. Like,
go.
um, I don't like the little shadow things that you fight and stuff like that. I know it's
Mhm.
kind of similar like Dragon Quest, they reuse the same enemies and all that type of stuff, and all that, but I don't really find them like cool looking or like an interesting looking enemy, or I doubt that
Yeah.
these enemies even got lores and things behind them and stuff like that. But it's cool though. Like I ain't saying the game bad or nothing. So far, I give it like a 7, 8 out of 10. But it's cool so far. I'm gonna beat the game. I'm gonna beat the game. I got 60
Yeah.
hours in this game at least. I'm gonna beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. Where they say past their enjoyment, or there might be something not bad, but it's more chores, especially like with the Shin Megami Tensei games and Persona games, where it's like a lot of them, like you say, you just got to do your chores. You got to grind because you need to, and the game's gonna make you do it at some point later, sooner than later, and you trying to do it sooner than later.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like
basically.
no, you're around the money with that. So, but no, continue and then.
Yeah, but not. I mean, that's pretty much it in that regard, man. I mean, I'm just doing these chores in the game. That's really what I feel like I'm doing. I feel like I'm just doing chores, and it ain't as many story things happening with the game. Seem like I thought it'd pick up just a tad bit more, but it picked up from what it was before. But I thought it'd be like things popping off all the time and stuff, and it's still like regular chore things. Like we got this impending thing going on, but it's
things,
still
but
like do
yeah,
chores.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think the 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 stories help me with pacing, like the little hangout you do at the house or whatever, but because they kind of start reacting to what's happening in the world and what's happening like overall. But yeah, you're kind of right where it's like it is still a slow burn throughout the entirety of it, and there's really no real like strong pickup moment outside of two or one where you're like, dang, that happened, but it's not really like a pickup moment. It's just like a situation. So, um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it definitely was. You had to be in like the mood for it, and the reason, like I said, why I was able to do it is simply because of remote playing it and then kind of finishing up just running on natively on the PC handheld, really, because it was one of those games where you didn't have to pay. I paid attention, but it was like one of those games where you could read it and not have to like sit in front of it the whole time, and they would just like talk to you. And most of the time, they cut scenes like 20 minutes or something like that, or they like conversation pieces. So it was really beneficial to be able to have something handheld on the go as I walk around the house, eat or start preparing some food or do something, and got a kickstand. I could just prop it up somewhere, keep playing it, have it on auto advance, and just still work. So it's still like that helped me beat this game because of just it's the availability of it. But totally
Yeah.
get what you're saying,
That,
especially if you're playing on a big screen.
yeah, I forgot about that. You are playing it on console on big screen. I played
Yes.
it handheld, and so yeah, that makes a difference when you know grinding through Tartarus 20 floors. I can just do that and put it in my
Mm.
pocket, and
Yeah.
I ain't gotta
Keep
do nothing.
and then not worry about it, but you're thinking like you gotta actually dedicate time to that session. Like you can't really do much else because it's not like it's a multitasking situation where I can multitask with something like a handheld or like you probably could beat a DS game faster than you could probably beat a console game. It's just because it's simply the format. So it's always been that way to me anyway. But yeah. Uh but yeah, let's what I guess what I didn't talk about what I was doing. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem Three Houses. I didn't expect that to happen, but that's what I chose to play because it was the more lots of talking, definitely a lot more strategy. Um, I'm glad I'm playing on casual because a couple of my people got cooked, and I was like, dang, I did not feel like
no,
starting over no fights. I was
Yeah,
like, bro,
you
this is dumb.
look real easy.
Yeah, it
The
makes it
AI will
super.
double team you quick, fast, in a hurry.
Yeah, bro. And they see like all those little they got the little strings of who can fight you. I'm like, it don't matter. That boy boobop. It was the stupid spell people. They hit you twice. I'm like, bro, why they why they get to go twice? So they cooked a few of my people, and then when we got that little transforming dude, I ain't really realized they gonna transform. So I'm out there doing the most. He transformed. I didn't realize how his space worked, where he can like hit every part of the thing and not just
The big
in
dragon.
front of him. I'm like, bro, that is cheating. I'm tight, but it's all casual, so I don't care. I'm learning Fire Emblem. I'll probably pay the next one on like the where if you die because I actually like the combat, but I think that's unfair, honestly. But it's whatever. That's how the original creator play it. That's how I like to play their games. I don't like to skimp it. They gave me casual mode for this one, so I'm gonna use casual. But the next one I'm probably not. So, anyways, I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem, and I was playing uh Fire Emblem and Dead Island 2. I have not played a lot of Final Fantasy, unfortunately, and I think we spoke about that a little bit about just not being in the mood to play an open world large game like that just yet, where there's a lot of commitment to just filler versus really a commitment to a linear experience, and they're tried and true. At least their Final Fantasy open world games left a sour taste in my mouth because they're not really open world. So I don't really want to play one like that right now. But I will play one at some point because that's a game that I'm not willing to skip. So I'm gonna play it. I just need to figure out the best way that I want to go about it anyway. And when I'm ready, I guess I already bought it, but so I pick it back up and start playing it. But yeah, that's all I've been doing. Kids are good, family's good, house good. We've been chilling. A lot of weird rain happening over here. Nothing too terrible, but just this heavy winds. I'm not used to all the wind that we get here, but it's cool and nothing like too bad. We rarely get any outages or anything like that, but it's just been really heavy rain and wind, like heavy wind. So, but yeah, overall we're good. Everything's good. Life's good. Lenovo Legion Go's good. I put some D brand skins on it and put a nice little glass protector. I'm having the time of my life with this Lenovo. I have not touched my Steam Deck. Which is unfortunate because I bought it recently. So, yeah, I need to figure something out about that. I don't think I want to sell it though. I really think I am going to continue moving forward with PC handheld until Steam kind of comes into their fruition with like something. I don't know. My revelation was simple. Well, Steam OS is great, but they still pigeonhole you to their stuff. They're not open. They're not accessible. Everybody can build upon it, but they're truly breaking down barriers by piggybacking off of the operating system that started all, technically. So I just was like, if I'm going to put my time and effort into something, if I'm going to start something, I might as well do it with the OS that is really truly running it all. So that's what I'm doing with the handheld PC. I really do like Steam's like operating system and how they make functionality just work, but with the lack of power and the non-accessibility to my Game Pass, Epic. Well, they have accessibility to Epic. Let me stop. Access to Game Pass, along with just the customization and the true feeling of having a fulfilled experience. I'm not saying that the Steam OS doesn't get that to you, but it's just something about knowing that I have access to everything here and everything works. Nothing is like broken. Nothing has to be tried or tested. I don't have to continue to pull down Proton tools to fix something. Everything works because this is where it started. So it's something to be said about that. It might not be for everybody, but it is for me. I thought I was ready to just give my whole self to the Steam, but that's not the case. I always want to be open. I want to have that freedom to make it to whatever I want it to be. And obviously the Steam Deck can do that, but it's just something about it already being natively there that just makes more sense. So that's where I'm at now. I didn't mean to give a update on that, but that's just how I'm feeling about the differences between the Steam Deck and the PC handheld. So I'm gonna continue on with that and moving forward, and hopefully as Xbox and everybody and everything starts to come to a more collective experience, I don't have to feel like I'm leaving something behind, which I don't feel now, but we'll see how it goes in the future. But we spent 30 minutes on our intro, and I told y'all we had long topics. So now we really got to move. Uh-oh. Did that pick up? Yeah, it did. Ew. Y'all just heard my operating system doing that weird noise. The doom, doom, doom. That noise. Anyways, I didn't have to repeat it, but y'all had to hear it. Let's start with our first topic: Destiny 2 Into the Light. What do y'all got to say about Destiny 2 that's new?
I didn't even know they're still making updates for that game. For if
Ah,
I'm being completely honest with you.
Stop capping, man. You know they letting that go. Stop capping, man. We know you first in line for the pre-orders. We know you. You don't know them? Bungie Into the Light. Tell me something new, Jalen. Tell me something new. Josh, what y'all got?
Man, I don't know.
You don't know them?
You don't know?
All I see, they had their little skateboard update a couple weeks ago. People was riding on skateboards instead of sparrows, and I think they had a racing event. Otherwise, Beyond Light was, or what, Last Light or Dying Light, whatever this update is called, got
I
delayed.
think it's called Lightless.
Lightless.
Uh,
Something
it's
terrible.
it's delayed, and it probably ain't gonna be hit. So I don't know.
Bruh.
I stepped back
Everything
in.
they do doesn't work out, man. Everything. I just feel like they haven't. I loved Bungie. At least loved Bungie Destiny 1 era. That was such a great era for me. I just feel like they just got a little too in over their heads. Live service games aren't in a space where they can just be so like Destiny has eras that were great, but at the same time, I felt like those eras could have been standalone games that we enjoyed and played through
Mhm.
and moved on. I feel like they could have done a saga or a not a trilogy because I don't really want just three, but they could have done it. They could have broken this up into like 3 years, or 4 years, 4 years, versus what they decide to do. I just feel like everything feels redone, reused, and not fun. Well, no matter how hard they try to make it feel fresh, it just feels like another adaptation of something they already did. And I know that has to come from limitations of the engine, but also just limitations of their ability to be creative in a world that they can't break. You know, they have to continue to make it work. So I just lost interest once I realized it will never change drastically to the point where I would love it again, because there's no changing it, because they're so pigeonholed in all their decision making that they have to build on top of each other. It's not fun. It never has been fun from Destiny 2 on. It's just been more stuff. It's just not fun. Like, you know what a fun game is, right? You know when it like you're just truly just having fun. I felt like I was having fun in Destiny 1. I just don't feel like I'm having fun in Destiny 2 at all. I feel like I'm doing stuff to do it. And if I'm trying to collect stuff, that's not fun. It's just feeding my dopamine of just finding something new. That's not fun. So I think they've just been broken ever since that. I don't really think there's a new problem. I just think this whole time they've been putting out a non-fun game. And what do y'all think? Like, do y'all think this game has been fun? I don't know.
Destiny ain't been fun for a while, bro.
I know it's been like since we've been at Black Shield going through those doors and shotgunning people when we got on top of that ledge. That's when it was fun to me. That's like the last time it was fun. Honestly. Like I don't
Yeah,
remember it being fun after that.
I mean, like I think what did we after they I forgot when Black Shield came. But I remember they had the Dark Below. I felt like
Mm-hmm.
after House of Wolves,
Like,
I think Black Shield came out when we was playing House of Wolves, yeah, because we used to be running through there Nova, yeah.
yeah, and Dark Below
Um,
was the one where it was born. We would just cheese it because we didn't want to actually fight the raid. Like that was when it
yeah.
got boring to me. It got like if you know when something's fun, you actually would want to do it. We didn't want
I
to do
mean,
it.
if I'm being completely honest, I don't think the game was ever that fun. I think the gunplay was always cool, and I could appreciate
Nah,
it.
I don't know about that. I think the game was fun at some point.
Well, I'm saying like overall, like I'm talking about like the collecting point, like the playing the PVE aspect of the game.
Uh
I
huh.
don't think the PVE aspect of the game was ever. I ain't gonna say ever. I think it was cool with the Atheon stuff because it was the first time we doing something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's a taste of something
Yeah.
new. Dark Below. I mean, you like, all right. I mean, it's kind of cool. And then you start thinking a little bit about the aspects of like what we doing. Like you finally beat Crota. All the stuff you needed to do because remember that's the time when they started putting people higher level than you, and you couldn't really
Yeah.
do anything about that. Like they
You
had to be
shooting with them
higher level than you.
sunbreakers.
So it's artificial difficulty that came into place. I mean, I remember Atheon had a little bit of that, but with the Crota raid, they really had that there. I remember, and to get the necrochasm and everything you had to do and all the steps just to do it, like it just became a little bit too excessive, and that's where I just started straying towards PvP. That started being fun. So every time you cut the game on playing PvP, then House of Wolves came out, same thing. Skull Loss broke. We need to fix Skull Loss because everybody they created a toxic community at this point. And then fast forward, now we got the Trials of Osiris. That's where we got House of Wolves podcast because of what I'm saying. Like that's where it
Yeah,
was peak
no, I know what you're
gameplay
saying.
Destiny. Like all the PVE stuff wasn't ever that great because of the drop rates and how they want to limit things. And well, you two ascendant shards. Can I get some more? No, try again tomorrow, my boy. Like we need you to stop playing the game so we can make you play longer with the drops and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're doing. Strange coins there. Like yeah, so
No, I
Yeah,
think
because
you're right.
fundamentally, Destiny and the people who made it, like they were designing it not specifically to be an MMO, but very MMO inspired. Where yeah, you gotta have some really fun stuff, but you gotta time gate it, you gotta resource gate it, you gotta level gate it so that people can't blow through everything in one day because they will. Like when we had a whole bunch of time, we would do the raid like multiple times if we could, but so they got to limit it in some way. But at the same time, like you said, they have to build a formula that works, and that formula can only work for so long on some people. And I feel like Destiny, unfortunately, was one of those games that, for whatever reason, the formula worked, but they could not change it at all. Like y'all remember in Destiny 1, where it's like, um, we can't increase what was it, vault space.
Yes,
It
bro.
would break the game. We can't change this. We can't uh, do anything because of whatever limitations they had. And that's unfortunate because these games, they have to change. If they're going to be around 10, 15, 20 years, then you have to change it. And eventually other games, other MMOs learn that and they're able to do that. Final Fantasy 14, it still has all the old content, but the new content follows a different formula because you have to change it. You have to update the formula. People don't want to grind. We don't want to be on the Cosmodrome for 15 hours trying to pick up whatever shards we need to pick up. You have to
Yeah.
change that and update it. Like eventually Destiny, they switched to Destiny 2, they made some changes to the economy and stuff like that, but Destiny 2 has its own formula, which like in my opinion is not as fun as the first one, and it's not as fresh, so that's another thing. But also they're pigeonholed where we have to keep this and we can't change it at all. I know that I always talk about Warframe. I'm not gonna talk about it a lot, but one thing I appreciate
talk your
about that is
Warframe, man.
they didn't have as many limitations in which every 2-3 years they put out something completely different. Like now we got horse combat, now we got ship combat, now you can do all this extra stuff, where it's completely different than what was before. And I like Destiny. Destiny has really really good gameplay, and the gunplay is still unmatched in a lot of ways, and same as the powers. Playing PVE and PvP with your supers and all of your abilities, like no other game is doing that. Like Destiny does it. But Destiny was unable to change or make anything new or refreshing for ever. So I just stopped caring about it. So that's all. That being said, I don't know. I don't even know what Destiny players want right now. Because if you stuck with it this long, then you kind of have expectations about how they do the raid, how they do exotic drops and stuff like that. If I were ever to play Destiny again, I kind of want like I'll be honest, probably a fresh start, like a new game, Destiny, uh, the Darkness, and you play as the Hive or some weird
Yeah,
something completely different, so I can get back in the world and not worry about the past, not worry about all these old exotics and stuff
guns.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just feels like a
because I'm never
chore.
gonna have all the exotics, and I'm never gonna go through the 50 different raids to get that stuff. Like
Then
I
the
don't.
50 different modes they got under each raid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a mad chore, bro. It's
1,000
just a
different
big chore.
currencies.
And then all the steps and the story things you got to do it to go and get in one of them raids and just talking to just all right, bro.
It's exhausting, dude. And I'm not trying to make them make their game like not enjoyable for the core audience, but I don't even think the core audience likes it. So it's just like, who likes your game at this point? I don't know. That is where the identity crisis is. It's like nobody, they don't even know who likes their game anymore, and I think that is the big issue. Um, they're not catering to the old. They're not catering to the new. It is in this weird space. So, um, story wise, it's too far spread apart. Taking 18 years or however long it's been. I think it's been like 11 years, 10 years now. I don't remember.
Destiny came out in September 2014.
Oh, so 10 years almost. Wow. So almost
Yeah,
10
10 years.
years for this game, and the story still feels very much so non-starter, like a non-starter. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like every time I try to feel like the story is getting good and or getting to a pace, you get Lightfall, and then I'm just like, what are y'all doing with the story? So I don't know. Whatever they doing it. Whatever they're trying to hit metric wise, they're not hitting it. They're whoever they're trying to please, they're not pleasing. So it's time for a new formula, dude. It's time for something different. And I think they really need to just drop Destiny 2 as a whole and start something fresh. I think that is the key. I think Destiny 2 suck up way too much of their resources, way too much of the talent. Creativity is dead over there. It is what is tried and true. We gonna reskin some enemies, and we gonna give y'all a public event. That's tried and true, and that's it. I mean, I really feel like the creativity died when it came to the raid teams, because even if the raid teams tried to be super creative, it had to fit into a certain box, and that box wasn't enjoyable anymore for a lot of people. Then they bring out the 3-man, like the dungeons, which were fun again for a while, but then you start to see repetitive situations, and they wasn't taking you to new spaces, but then they did. So I would love a game with full of just playing the dungeons, because I like the dungeons more than any of it. That's it. Like the dungeons started to
We
become
played
more
one, right?
fun. I play like multiple, but
Yeah,
y'all
I
played
played
one
one
with
with
me.
Deontay. We played one together, but I don't think we ever finished it because we ran out of time. And
Yeah,
It was hard.
yeah. It was a
yeah,
hard and challenging, but it was engaging too. At least I think the one that we tried was the one where we had to go into like the um. It was like we was riding down this ribbon in like the sand world. Like I said, always
yeah,
unique. It felt like to me, because I didn't have to deal with the raid components of it, but it's like unique spaces that to explore. And exploration is just so lost on them that they don't even understand what that means anymore. Like I want to explore places. I don't want to just go into something and feel like it's non-explorable and the same cookie cutter thing y'all did for Euphoria. Um And for me, even Forsaken, when we went to I forget what it's called, those felt like steel. They weren't fun to explore in a way that I thought I was getting. People kept trying to hype it up like it was great, but I feel like they was just saying it was great because it was all based on the server. And it still wasn't fun to me though. Like I want true exploration in these crazy worlds you built, and I don't get that. So there is nothing fun about that game to me anymore. It is all numbers. It's made by the numbers, it's built by the numbers, and that's why obviously it had a big stamp on me because I named the dang on podcast after it. But it's felt so far to the wayside now. I just feel like it is not the game I loved, and I wish they would just stop trying to get us back because it's not going to work. They need to really just blow it up, start again. That's my thoughts. But we've been on this for way too long, so let's move past it. Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer is looking to make an Xbox handheld, but he's also got some interesting statements about the gaming industry as a whole. First, let's talk about the handheld because I am just so into freaking handhelds right now. I think that is the best thing that can ever come to the market, and I think having a console handheld really wouldn't help me. It's just gonna, it is gonna make me feel like you're not doing a service to everybody that wants a handheld because it's kind of going to fall into the Steam OS situation again, where I'm just like, yeah, I can play the games that y'all want me to play on handheld, but honestly, why would I do that when I could just buy this? That's going to provide me every library I own. So, Xbox handheld console, only thing I'm looking forward to is if they create an OS that they can incorporate into the Microsoft version or Microsoft Windows 11 that I can probably boot into and see if it's like justifiable to kind of start utilizing that for certain things. But honestly, I doubt it because they're going to try to have it closed off like they do the Game Pass Xbox app, and I'm not really interested in that. So my thoughts simply on the Xbox handheld console is that it would not hit the markers that they want unless it was truly a PC handheld with Xbox backing. That would be make the most sense. Not the other way around. Not an Xbox handheld with the backing of not an Xbox handheld on its own. I don't think that's truly a viable option. Like I wouldn't do that to myself. If I wouldn't put myself up against the Steam Deck, I wouldn't put myself up against the Lenovo Legion Go. I wouldn't put myself up against the Rogue Ally. I would partner with a company that could provide that experience, and then I would create software, which y'all are actually decent at, and make something that would be able to take advantage of your full ecosystem. So when he was talking about it, he said that's his dream, obviously, and that's something that he would love to do. But like I said, putting an Xbox on it kind of puts it in a box that probably shouldn't be. What are y'all thoughts on a handheld console that play Xbox games? Let's try to give it from a perspective of, is there anything that can do to like really get people to want to buy it? I'm trying to think of things, but I'm having a hard time. Would y'all be able to think of something that, okay, this is a main reason why somebody would want this, and this is a viable option, and this is a reason why, or not really?
So if Jalen want to take it, you can go, because I kind of do have some stuff to say about it. Where it's like, I think there is a space for it, not necessarily where it has to be Microsoft, but I want to see what Microsoft will do with it, because I've been you've been looking at the handheld PC hand space, and so have I. But it's kind of in a weird space because the Steam Deck is the best price per performance value, but it's still not, like, performance wise, it's impressive, but it's not like a very, very strong device. And if you want a very, very strong device, you got to spend a whole lot of money. But then even with that strong device, you're limited in things like battery life, or the device has to have like a 60-watt TDP. But if you don't do that, the device is going to be hot and it's going to have a 1 hour battery. So
Yes.
there are limitations to that. And I think what Valve showed with this is that if there's a big company, like a big $1 billion, $1 trillion company like Microsoft, that can get into this space and offer really good hardware, or at least make the manufacturing side, they can push the envelope. And that will make everything else better, because before the Steam Deck, there are some devices, but they're all trash battery life, trash screens, trash
Mm-hmm.
software, and stuff like that, trash compatibility. Then the Steam Deck came out, and a lot of the devices could target that mold, whether they're using the same PC parts from the same manufacturer, or they can use the Steam OS, so not Steam OS, but Steam Big Picture, so you don't have to have like a third party game software that's trash. So,
Yeah.
anyways, it helped the market develop a whole lot, and so everything after
Absolutely.
the Steam got better. So if Microsoft could be another name in there and push the envelope, that would be great, because Microsoft has AMD partnerships. They can get like a unique chipset where there's a new one, or at least it's a existing chipset, but now that Microsoft is using it, it can lower the price for other companies that want to use that same chipset. So let's say
Mm.
Microsoft priced their device at $1,000. Now we can have other devices where it's like, okay, well, ours is smaller battery life, but same chipset as the Microsoft one. So we come in at $600, and so that builds a bigger market for what's available.
Uh,
Because right now, at least for me, I see there are two OLED handheld PCs, and one of them is the Steam Deck, and one of them is the Aya Neo. But the
mm-hmm.
Aya Neo is $1,000, and the Steam Deck, Steam OLED is like $500. And so again, if we have another player in that space like Microsoft, it doesn't matter whatever they price themselves at. People are gonna buy it if they're interested in a Microsoft device. But them being available will make more PC parts available for other companies. So that's the benefit of it. As far as like playing Xbox games on handheld, I'm not that interested in it, because I don't think there's anything that I need to play for Xbox on handheld. Like, I don't see Starfield ever being a enjoyable handheld experience.
Yeah.
But that being said, having a natively built Microsoft backed like device, which means the OS should have like zero compatibility issues. Like, that's
Yeah.
what I would like to.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I feel like there would be they if they're building out the Xbox platform in that way, everything that they did on the Xbox platform will still come to PC, because it just makes sense for them to still keep that ecosystem alive, where they're not just tailoring off things to one part, because they don't the focus for them is to kind of make everything feel as if you seamlessly can go between PC, the Xbox, and the Xbox handheld. So I'm expecting
Mhm.
some type of compatibility with everything. So I would think even if
Yeah,
it was an Xbox handheld, you're right in the sense of Xbox would work, but also PC would work, and maybe obviously you're not looking to have like a true good Starfield experience on there, but down the line, 3 years, 4 years from now, when the technology, because technology isn't doing nothing but getting better by the day, you could probably run that stuff natively without issue, and it looks great. Everybody thought Red Dead Redemption 2 would be too powerful, but that runs great on these right now. So it's kind of like those
yeah.
types of things where, yeah, it
The
might not be
legacy is
today.
long, and it will get better. Yeah,
Yeah, but it
especially with
will get
Microsoft
better.
wanting to like keep that like unify your library. That
Absolutely.
means you could your library can continue to get better and bigger. I know at some point they say they want, uh, or there were rumors of them wanting backwards compatibility to be accessible on any device, but they still got
Mm,
to figure it out on the tech side, or whatever. So
yeah.
that being said, yeah, there are benefits specifically to the Microsoft being in the space, but yeah, I want to see more companies in the handheld space, because, like you said, I like my Steam Deck too. It doesn't fit 100% of my needs, and
Yeah.
so I want there to be other devices, so I have more options that are less than $1,000.
Yeah, I agree.
Or
I
less
think
than $800. I think 800 is like the middle point where you see like good devices, but too big, too expensive, and out.
right. Yeah, and that's why I kind of was like the Nova Legion Go. It was $5.99 due to open box, excellent at Best Buy. Like that's that's really the main reason why I was able to get one, and I was like comfortable with it because I don't really want to spend more than $500 to $600 on one of these things. I feel like that is a comfortable space for me to stay in because again, um I don't want to be in the rat race to continue to upgrade my GPUs constantly. I'd rather have a full-fledged device that has the capability of running of most of my games or at a decent degree where I can put a flag in the road where from here on back I should be able to play these games pretty decently without issue. And that is what you get when you buy one of them. It's just more so as you continue on down that path and you build your library out, you build your customization, all that comes with you because it's literally just a Windows PC. So that is my main reason for like keeping going with the PC handheld space versus Steam because that is not built on. It's not built on the back of itself. It's built on the back of PC, so or Windows. So why would I just not go to a place that is built like where I'm going to be using all of the certain things that
Really,
have to continue.
compatibility.
Yeah,
It's
like
using compatibility to solve some problems, but if you have the native access,
yeah,
you don't have to worry about the compatibility layer.
yeah,
Overall, it should be a better experience theoretically. Um, and yeah, I want to see what Valve does next too, like Steam Deck 2 or whatever, because
yeah,
they have their own strengths. But
absolutely.
mhm.
So many strengths. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's the only reason why it makes it beneficial for the PC is because of all the Steam strengths, like their controller layouts, community controller layouts. Like I still use their layout stuff for all my gaming, so it's not like I'm not using what Steam has to offer. And that is a main component to why it's so useful and works because they built the structure for the other people to piggyback off of. So it's not like they're not got their hand in both pots. It's not like Steam couldn't make a PC handheld their own selves. Like they could do that too. They don't have to have Steam OS operation. They can literally just make a device that is worthwhile, super powerful, running Windows. They can do that. That's because they run both sides. That is the benefit of Steam right now is that they can do both. They don't have to pigeonhole themselves into Steam OS. They just want to because they know they control the function of it, and that's more beneficial to them now. Maybe down the line when people are hammering for more customization on a Windows-based machine, maybe that's just another iteration of theirs where you can choose your operating system. Like they don't really care. You just buying their hardware. You know what I'm saying? You still buying their games. I don't think Steam would care to necessarily push out, hey, which operating system do you want? Windows or Steam or Linux? Like I don't think they would care because it's still getting the hardware sale. I just think that that is the next coming of age for them where they just start to become a little bit more flexible with what they do and how they do it because maybe there is a way for them to start to create and build out Steam OS full functioning in a way that even runs on top of Windows without the compatibility layer needed. You know, I think they're smart enough. I think they could do it. I'm just waiting for it to happen. Because I don't want to get I like the Steam Deck. I like what it has to offer, and I like that they were the first to create it, and they still do certain things better than Lenovo, like their sound system, the not the screen, but the OLED system that they put into place, TDP optimization. Like they understood why they went to Linux first. I think it's putting a fire under Windows belly to start to run their operating system better at low TDPs because it just makes more sense.
Yeah.
So that is that is the goal. That is my thoughts, and that's where I want to be in the future. Real quick, Jalen, you got anything to add before we move on?
You know you want to
Nah,
play
yeah, yeah.
Halo.
Man, how you figured me out? Call me
Yeah.
red-handed.
Trying to play,
Nah, but just
trying to use armor lock.
yeah. Nah, I mean, honestly, I don't pay attention to as much stuff as y'all do with with all like the handheld PC things. I like my Steam Deck. My Xbox cool. If they had games on there that's portable and they can play it to the same degree, obviously it's gonna take more battery life, make it more expensive hardware, all that type of stuff. If they's able to do that, good screen and stuff like that, that'd be cool. But again, I'm still not subscribed to the Xbox gaming community like that because their lack of games. So I don't really think there's anything they could really do at this point in time to, really get me on board with that. Previously, I remember this talking about Xbox 180s coming out, you know what I'm saying, with kids and stuff. I'm like, man, that junk sound cool. Now at
Mm,
this point, I'm just kind of like, I see things like the Steam Deck and stuff. I'm like, I'll pass on it. So.
Yeah.
yeah. Let me ask you this, Deontay and Jalen. Do y'all think that if they had a handheld, that Microsoft would need to have software to support it? Because I mean, obviously you play things on Steam and stuff like that, but if they want to sell the device, do you think people would expect them to have a title that's like showing off what their device can do? Or are they gonna be playing the God of War and Horizon on the Xbox handheld? And that's what you're gonna see in the market.
Nah, I think they have way too much catalog for that for a games. It's like library now to be a issue. They own Activision. They don't have to say it. They don't really care about which games you playing anymore. They have the library and the platforms now to dominate. It's not about that for them anymore. To me, it's about having their software and their hardware be top of mind at all times, and where you want to play it and how you want to play it, they have a piece of it, whatever that may look like, software wise or hardware wise. I think they just want to create the devices to meet you where you at, because that is how they continue to grow their share. I don't really think they care about exclusivity. I don't think they care about what the games look like on their systems. I think they really want to build out the platforms for the years to come, to the point where it's undeniable that they have a large portion of the share. It's like it's going to become undeniable when you have an Xbox handheld that can run PC games and Xbox, when you have a PlayStation handheld that can run PlayStation games. It's going to be really important to see how Nintendo reacts to they still, and I think that's why they fight so hard for emulation. They want to shut it down because it's so tough for them to kind of create their own bubble when you can run their games on your emulated like through emulation. Like it's so hard for them to keep that stuff tied to them. But as you get to continue to see this like level of um fidelity and graphical power and all that stuff, the main goal for Xbox is to continue to build the platform for the ages, and I think um, it's going to be really tough for Sony to continue to sell us tech when we're buying into platforms that are just massively more beneficial than a piece of tech it could ever be. Just like Nintendo. Like I feel like Nintendo is far ahead of them because they have the games to back it up, the software. I think Sony has always played the same graphical push game. Um, and I feel like it's going to become really, really tough for them to compete in that space as time goes on. It's more costly. It's not a profitable model, and and if you lose on two AAA games in a row, you're probably going bankrupt. So it's a very risky model. So I don't really know. I don't know what that will look like, but I know they don't care about it. They don't care about that. Gaming wise, they just don't. I wouldn't. If I was a company running right now and I understood the market and where it was going, I'll be pushing more for platforms. How do we get our games wherever they want them to be, and how do we get our ecosystem to be embedded in everything that they touch with those games. That's all I be caring about, honestly. So that's what they doing. That's to me anyway. But yeah, let's move forward because we are running out of time as usual. Let's talk about Dragon's Dogma 2. I know Josh put a lot of emphasis on the front end about it, and I kind of want to revisit a little bit of that, but really my main focus was to kind of tell you my thoughts about why I decided to skip and probably why I will pick it up at a later time, because there is a lot there for the game that I feel like I can enjoy. I really want a game that feels like it's not really holding your hand, a lot to explore, a lot to engage in. Question, does that have a pause button?
Yes.
Okay, great. A lot to explore and has a pause button, unlike Elden Ring. So I wanted a game like this, and I wanted a game like this right now, but I decided to wait simply because of two things: the graphical issues that we were having and the microtransactions. I just felt like they weren't necessary. You can avoid them, but they're already fixing things, and people are modding things into the game, and it just feels, it rubbed me the wrong way. I ain't gonna lie to you. I just felt like it was improper. I know that they did this for the other games that came out, and I don't know how we just ignored those, but we don't ignore Dragon's Dogmas. But for some reason, when they did it in Street Fighter and they did it in I think they did it in Resident Evil 4 Remake, I think.
Mm-hmm. All the Resident Evil games.
Yeah, and I think they did it in those too, and we just ignored it. I felt like these can't be ignored because it's such a punishing world that it feels like you should be buying these things to help you out, help yourself out. And I feel like those games just felt fun to play, fun to enjoy. This game feels fun, but it's also at the fun. The fun is also at the expense of your time and your resources. So maybe you are enjoying running around and exploring the world, but you get ate up and you get killed, and you could have fast traveled, or you could have bought a camping tent or something of that nature. And then they kind of impose you can't delete your save and start over, so you can't even like save scum. It's like there's a lot of decisions that were made to make the game punishing, but then you provide people some type of relief, and that is what felt scummy. I think nobody cared about the other games because those games weren't built to punish or built to kind of keep you have in this level of, I would say it wasn't built in that regard to not punish, but to be challenging. Resident Evil and those games were just meant to be fun, enjoyable, and have some type of challenge, but never needing of a microtransaction. I feel like people would get upset, get frustrated, or felt punished too much to the point where they were like, okay, I just buy this real quick so I can get over here or fast travel over here or do whatever, So that is why I felt like it was kind of egregious. And that's why it turned me off a little bit. And I was like, I'm gonna wait till these guys fix this game that could have been a contender for Game of the Year, but now more than likely will fall to the wayside because of all of the controversy and the stuff that came along with it, even though it was getting high scores. So that's the main component of mine. Secondly was the graphical fidelity on the graphics on the performance, on the consoles and the PC. The NPCs seem like they're a lot to handle. The decisions made for that cause this game to kind of buckle a lot when you go into cities, but it's not bad when you're out and about and you're not around a bunch of NPCs. So it just provides a complete experience from the get-go. But I know Josh said he had a pretty good experience. I'm pretty sure if I bought it, I would have a decent enough experience. I just don't feel like I should be expected to compromise on that experience, and I'm just tired of giving people passes on technical issues. I feel like Capcom has earned a little bit of that in regards to like their other games that recently came out, especially the RE engine being so really well done on the PC. But a loss is a loss, and a loss in frames is a little bit annoying. So I think I'm avoiding it because of that too. Two main components. That's all I wanted to mention on Dragon's Dogma 2. I'll pass it over to you guys to add in anything before we move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I ain't really got much to say about Dragon's Dogma. I ain't played the first one. Again, we had talked about it before with so what the devs was thinking. I can't. I don't feel comfortable giving up time and just losing it for a game I ain't that super interested in playing. So
Yeah. I mean, that makes
maybe
sense.
and maybe. I mean, they might do something. Might come out with a patch or something. Maybe I try it and stuff. And then, like you said, I was honestly when Josh was saying something about Dragon's Dogma at first, I'm like, well, how do it run at least? Like that was the biggest thing. Like if it run, maybe I'd be willing to give it a try. My friends liked it a lot too, so I'm like, or the first one, so I'm like, maybe I'd be willing to get a second one to try. I know you said something about the scores. I'm like, maybe I could expand my eyes and try something a little different. But you said it ain't running right. I'm like, never mind. I can. I'm good.
Yeah. It's like subpar. It's like sub 30, so like 25. But it can be at 30 most a decent amount of time. But it's like when the stuff get hectic, when you go by the NPCs, it is a problem. So they are
And then I
looking
mean,
into it all. But yeah, go ahead.
and to be honest with you, bro, just real quick, I don't know if I can play a 30 frame game. I literally tried to cut on Persona 5 the other day to see something, and that game was moving so scratchy, I cut it back off in 5 minutes. I was like, bro, what is going on? Not realizing Persona 3 playing at 60. So, like, you saying that game at 30 and stuff, like, you see how I felt about
Yeah,
that one Bethesda game. I forgot, I can't think of the name, the
Starfield.
space game. Starfield. I was like, cut it off, bro. Can't take it. Eyes hurt. So, but yeah, that's just real quick. So,
Yeah, yeah, once your eyes get adjusted, um you kind of start to realize that it's hard to kind of go back to 30 FPS games. I know that there is some games that I will give a pass. Like right now I thought I could play Final Fantasy Rebirth, but I was like I might as well just wait for the 60 FPS mode to get better. I can stream it. It looks better on a smaller screen anyway. I'll just wait for the game to have some performance and patch updates. When honestly, I would expect for games to just come out in a state that is enjoyable. So it is unfortunate. That is probably why I'm probably was going to skip Rise of Ronin and play something else. Simply because I'm probably waiting for the PC version to come out. If I even try to pick that up, I try to go back to Wulong and I just hated the whole. I don't know. I don't like how they do the mission type stuff. I really don't. I really would prefer open world that you kind of can explore, but I think Wulong has a little bit of mix of both. So
the throwaway game
again,
we was playing.
that was Wulong, the game we was playing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So Dragon Dogma 2 was right up my alley for what I wanted. But again, it hit the mark. It missed the mark, so I'm going to hold off on it, wait for a sale, wait for some performance updates, and then I'll probably pick it up at a later time once I can come back to it
Yeah.
because I'm having fun playing Fire Emblem anyway. So I ain't tripping.
What I was gonna say about Dragon's Dogma is I think the performance is the biggest issue because the game is impressive in a lot of ways, but it's hard to appreciate that or even care about that when the game doesn't perform well.
Yeah.
And specifically, it's like you go to into a city where you're shopping and you're talking to NPCs, and the frame rate will drop because the city has a whole bunch of NPCs that they're tracking them all the time or something like that. So the CPU can't handle it.
Yep.
That being said, outside in the open world doing combat and stuff, I haven't seen much issue with that. So like it's fun, but like I said, on consoles it's locked to 30 FPS, and that is a hard sell. Like I'll be jumping back and forth between 30 and 60 in Final Fantasy all the time, and I can't. I'm not happy with the performance. Like the 30 FPS in that game, I don't like.
Hmm.
But the performance mode doesn't look good. But at the same time, they have you doing a whole bunch of mini games where they want you to aim and shoot all these targets super quick. Uh, and I literally couldn't do it at 30 FPS because it's not like normal shooting controls. You like shoot with square and like aim with L3, and so I had to switch to 60 so I can do the mini game in
Yeah.
enough time because it wasn't fast enough at 30. So yeah, that game is frustrating. But for me, I'm going to acknowledge all the issues that people have with the PC version. For me, I don't have most of those issues, so it's still enjoyable. What I will say about the microtransactions, though, I think the biggest issue is not that this game needs it, because it doesn't, and the microtransactions won't benefit you. But people feel like it might benefit you, or it might be a cheat code because the game is new. The reason that we gave Resident Evil a pass, or we give like the other games a pass with the Capcom microtransactions, because they all have the same microtransactions, is because those games, like you don't need extra bullets in. I mean, you don't want to buy extra bullets, or you don't want to buy the rocket launcher early in Resident Evil because you can just play the game and get the rocket launcher. You don't need a microtransaction to give you that to you. So,
Right.
and it's the exact same situation with Dragon's Dogma. You don't need any of that stuff. Like you can buy like I'm looking at the store, you can buy a campsite for like $2. But in the game, I've only been playing for 4 hours. I have 4 campsites in my bag, and they're super heavy. And so if you bought one, is you're gonna run into two issues. You spending $2 on a campsite, it's gonna take up a whole bunch of your inventory, and you're gonna pick up just like random ones all the time. And so it is literally a waste of money for anybody buying it. It's not gonna benefit anybody. Same thing with the wake stones where you come back to life. You get those just from playing the game, and you're never gonna need them. And so because like you get in a situation, you find the boss, all right, and the boss kill you, and you use your wake stone. You got 4 of them. You use it, and he kill you again. It's like, okay, I can revive again, or I can just go back to my last checkpoint, and I still have the revive that I just wasted, or I can go to the microtransaction, spend it, uh, die against the boss, use the wake stone, and I spent my microtransaction, and so it's gone. And so it doesn't make any sense for these microtransactions to exist, and it's stupid on Capcom's part to put it in the game because nobody has ever liked them, and only makes your game look worse. But
Hmm.
it doesn't change the game. I feel like the game, it is what it is, and the
Right.
microtransactions were on top of it. Just like Resident Evil, they put the rocket launcher in the game. You beat the game normally, you get the rocket launcher, or you can just buy it from the beginning with the microtransactions. But fundamentally, it doesn't improve the game because you're not gonna have ammo for the freaking rocket launcher in Resident Evil. So why would you need it at the beginning? So yeah, it's the same thing. But like you said, overall, it's a good game. But Capcom failed at providing a good launch. It got performance issues, and it got really egregious microtransactions that shouldn't even be there
Yeah.
because it's a single player game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, no,
So
no. I
they can
think
fix the issue
those points
with
make
like
sense.
I definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 FPS is not it for console. That's why I wouldn't play it on console. But if they can fix the PC issues, it is a fun like Capcom game that I would recommend at least.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to Marvel's 1943. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that came out of the Epic, um, like update or showcase of the new engine and all going through Fortnite and MetaHumans being able to go into those engines now in your creations, and so much of what they do is trying to optimize and minimize memory space. And it was so much of that going on. Um, but right in the midst of that, there was the new story trailer for Marvel's 1943 Rise of Hydra. And this is probably some of the most impressive, I guess I would say, face capture I've seen, especially dude with the helmet. I felt like I was like looking at a real person. Honestly, I thought it was a movie for the first initial little part, and then I was like, no, this ain't a movie. This is. And then I started to notice the nuances of like a video game. But from my standpoint, this is probably some of the most impressive tech I've seen showcased in a very long time. Um, to from cloth to, like I said, I'm mirroring, I'm putting all the things up in together. But the Marvel in 1943 had a lot of this tech just built on top of it. The ability to render smoke in a proper way, the ground effects, the whole layering of everything, the using of the what's they call it, the nanonites or something like that. I forget what they call them. But all of that stuff comes to bring together a really really nice presentation, and yeah, really nice voice face capture. But I guess my thoughts with bringing this up is simply one: do y'all think Unreal Engine 5 is like actually going to be beneficial for these current gen consoles? And two, what does this do for game presentations in the future? Like for me, for game presentation in itself, it just feels like it's going to become more cinematic and not more gamey. I don't know. I don't know what these technologies really do to enhance gameplay, because they didn't show any gameplay. But obviously the world is going to be more immersive. But um have y'all seen the true benefit to gameplay for the Unreal Engine 5, Josh? Have you seen it?
Um, so yeah, that's a difficult one because I think the Unreal Engine is very like developer friendly, and there are a lot of like things that they can do to make the game, make their work easier.
Yeah.
So like Nanite, the whole point of Nanite is that you can make a really, really, really high quality, whatever, a really, really high quality car or a character and put it in the game, and the Nanite will be able to reduce the um, size of what's being rendered at the time so that it doesn't take as much CPU or GPU power to render what you just put in there. That being said, I don't think any AAA developer would ever put a really, really like, let's say, 100 gigabyte character. We're gonna put a 100 gigabyte character in the game as is and expect Unreal Engine to do all the work to reduce the size. It wouldn't make any sense because even though Unreal Engine can do that, why not just reduce, reduce it, compress it, whatever you have to do to reduce the polygon count of the character before you put it in Unreal Engine. That way, it's gonna run better, and you as the developer has complete control over what's happening. So, yeah, I
Mm.
don't personally see Nanite as a benefit for players. There are some benefits for developers, but even still, is not as clear as like why you would ever want to do that in your game. Maybe it
Mm.
might be a real like a fully realized open world game where you're in New York City and it's one-to-one recreation and super high quality, and it looks like the Matrix on demo that they had. But at the same time, in video games, I don't think anybody really wants to play a one-to-one size of New York City. Like even Spider-Man is not one-to-one. Like it has a lot of landmarks, but you're swinging through the city super fast, so you don't need to go street by street. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think Unreal Engine 5 is gonna offer really good tech for like animation, and because I know y'all might appreciate like the characters walking and they touch the table that they walk by, or they're uh how the cloth physics works on their clothes. Like that stuff will still continue to improve, and Unreal Engine is gonna benefit that. Um, but yeah, I see mostly all the new additions to Unreal Engine being stuff for more cinematic games like this. Um,
Mm.
Not necessarily for gameplay so far.
S- Um okay. I can agree with that, and I can see what you mean by that. Providing the tools developers need to kind of create games that are more um, beautiful and more immersive, but also not as large in size. I think that is the key. Um, Okay. I mean that it kind of sums up what I wanted to kind of get from this conversation. Really, it was just kind of figuring out what y'all saw that made it feel as enticing for a player, and then there was the components of it as it from just being a cinematic showcase. Um, do you think that? And this is kind of going into another topic, but so before I guess jump into that, um, Jalen, any thoughts on Marvel 1943? Did you see the Unreal or anything like that? Unreal Engine.
Nah, nah, I haven't seen anything with that. I don't know what Unreal. I be seeing some Unreal engine stuff used to make like Sonic games, or people doing like Kingdom Hearts, like fan made type stuff forever. But like, no, not
No real.
anything in regards to the Marvel though.
Okay.
I was
Well,
actually talking to somebody about that
Three
today
is
in regards
Unreal
to
Engine.
that.
three is Unreal Engine, right? Yeah, three is four.
Yeah,
Unreal Engine 4.
3
Okay.
remake.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, no. It wasn't anything. It was more so the individual, and I believe she's the one that did Uncharted. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
Amy Hennig.
Amy did it. Yes, she's the one that kind of created the Uncharted scene, cinematography and stuff like that. And she kind of, I don't know if she
I
did a
think she wrote it
narration.
too. So she worked a lot with Naughty Dog on the
Yeah.
first few Uncharted games as far as writing and directing.
Okay.
Then she left and she was going to do a Star Wars thing not too long ago for EA. That got canceled. And so she's been floating around a lot, but her next thing has always been similar to this, where it's a very story focused and like high quality art game.
Yeah.
But it seems like maybe the economy or the industry wasn't there, where a lot of the projects got canceled because maybe they're too big or ambitious or expensive. But now
Gotcha.
Skydance is the studio that she's been at for a while, and they've been working on something. And it seems like this is the game that they've been working on, and Marvel's funding it. So it seems like it's in a good place. Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm interested in the gameplay.
Yeah.
Uh, Square Enix's Marvel game looked good and it played trash. So I don't care anything about this game at all unless they show me gameplay that is interesting. Like it's cool you have a Captain America game. It's cool you have a Black Panther game. Um, I don't care unless it's fun.
Yeah.
Same thing with Suicide Squad. Same thing with Wonder Woman. And I think that's unfortunate because I guarantee this game costs a whole lot of money to make, and I hope they can make some of that money back. Uh,
As long as they
you're not
don't,
gonna
as
pay
long
me
as they
what they're gonna
don't
make.
do the whole online component and it's just single player experience, just her name and the name of Marvel is probably going to take it there. That's going to be fine. It's probably going to be like a Spider-Man 2 situation where it's not like super profitable. But as long as they don't do what Suicide Squad do, because Suicide Squad literally lost probably a lot of money simply based off of what they tried to do. Um, I think as long as they don't do that, people will eat it up regardless because it's a new Marvel entry. It probably could tie into the movies really probably well. And if the story is appealing enough, it can easily get a 8, 9 out of 10 out of IGN and something like that. So I don't expect it to not sell. I expect it to not sell if they do something stupid like microtransactions or live service. Then yeah, you're done. But yeah, I get what you're saying too. Though I prefer to see gameplay, and we didn't see any of it. So I was like, just because it looks prettier doesn't really help me. I need it to be like fun and engaging. And I was like, I was hoping you pulled out some of those components where it showed, oh, we can make these have different opinions. AI is creating a bunch of different scenarios and everything. You can like generate different situations at a moment's notice, like something like that. I don't know. I didn't hear much of that. I know they had incorporated some of that stuff, but I didn't hear much of it. So I'm just looking for those things that make the gameplay feel more engaging and it's very reactive to the player. So that's what I was looking for. But okay, let's move on. Horizon, and this is where I wanted to go next because yeah, it's pretty. I still like the gameplay. No, maybe not everybody, but I enjoyed the gameplay, and it's probably one of the bigger or best looking games probably now on the PC. I just wanted to bring some attention to the fact that the PC is getting games, and these games are becoming benchmarks for them based off of PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 hardware. Let that sink in. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 games are becoming benchmarks in the the pedigree of gaming on PC. How does that I feel like there has to be like a tug and pull when it comes to development, and I need you to chime in here, Josh, where a game could become like their mechanics can become so great and expensive and expansive, like a Baldur's Gate 3, that they have to cut ties somewhere else. But Baldur's Gate 3 also ran on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. So I just want to see, I want to gauge, do we feel like we're getting next gen experiences right now, like something that really is mind blowing? I don't feel like that. I feel like if we're still getting Horizon Forbidden West, a game that was built for the PS4 and the PS5 as the like pedigree, and I'm not saying everybody's saying that, but a lot of people are. What does that tell us about the current state of gaming? Like, are we not innovative enough? Are they not doing the things that to do that make people want to buy games, or what is it? I think the best selling games right now have been remakes. I don't I don't know. I don't know. What's the coolest thing that has come out of this gaming is the finals, and it's not like it's arena shooter with just, you know, destruction. But that destruction is impressive. Don't get me wrong, but we went in those houses. They ain't had nothing.
They look like Call of Duty 4 houses.
They didn't have nothing in those houses. Not a curtain, not nothing. So where is these experiences that's pushing hardware and from a functionality point and a graphical point? I don't know. I don't think I've seen anything. Dragon's Dogma is doing a lot. I'm not gonna say that they're not. They got massive enemies. They got tons of NPCs that are like, and I obviously is buckling the crap out of everything. So is that poor optimization, or is that just grand? That just a grand as like a large game that's just not ready yet. Like, I don't know. Do you think?
And on what y'all value as next gen, because there will be people who will argue that consoles for a long time have not been next gen because they're not pushing new technology in a lot of ways. For a long time, we've, even since like MGS5 at the beginning of the PS4 generation, had, you know, face capture, face scan people that look really good. Like, obviously we can make it better, but we're still in that same space where we're using the same I put it's getting better, it's improving, but it's not new. And it's been a long time since we've had just like brand new stuff that you couldn't have anywhere else. Well, two reasons: because, you know, like we live in, you know, it's 2024 and technology moves fast, but it's not that fast. We still have to, like, somebody has to make it, so we can't expect like a brand new, completely new technology every 5 years, because technology doesn't actually move that fast where you see stuff completely brand new. Like, a lot of smartphones, computers, and things like that have been iterative, and that's where you see things that were really difficult become easier. And that's kind of where we are in the game space, where it used to be very difficult to have you know, face capture, motion capture at 60 FPS. Oh, but now we can do that at 60 FPS. So that's partly that. And then second, it's not, there's no money in making a game that's truly next gen, because if it's truly next gen, that means that you're pushing the hardest of the, like the, you're pushing the best hardware to be able to run the system, and even then that hardware is going to reach limitations because you're probably going to have to run the game at 30 fps. But the people with the best hardware are probably the smallest, like, consumer base, and so you're
Yeah.
not making money off it. So it doesn't make sense to make games that push that far. Even Sony doing it when they're cutting edge, nobody would ever argue that they're not cutting edge. Um, they're struggling with the financial side of it, and so if Sony is even pushing it even harder, like, we want every game to look like, um, Demon Souls uh remake, but it has to run above 60 FPS, and it has to be 8K, and it has to be multiplayer. Like, those games just don't exist because it doesn't make sense. There's no market for it, and there's no money in that. So I would say we continue to see iterative stuff that's getting better than what we had before, but
Hmm.
nobody's gonna bite that bullet to make a $1 billion game that looks like nothing like you've ever seen before. But that being said, I will argue that there are a lot of other next gen features that might be available, but they're just not as exciting. Like, multiplayer with more complex things going on, um, physics in games that are, they're doing crazy stuff with physics. Like, you can blow up the entire mountain and then put it back together or something like that. It's like that stuff on
Mm.
the technology side is really, 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 really hard to do, and even your hardware might not be able to handle it. But when somebody figures it out, it's gonna look very cool. But at the same time, it's I don't know how much I'm gonna care about that technology, even though specifically that's probably stuff that you couldn't do on the PS4 that you can now do on the PS5, type thing.
Mm. No, that's valid. That's valid. It makes sense. Just thinking of Alan Wake 2 and how it was pushing boundaries on ray tracing, and people were upset about it, had, minimizing the internal resolution because it's just like, you're not going to be able to run this natively and have a good experience with all this super special technology in it, and it's compromises to be made. And I understand what you're saying, and after I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because it's just not enough people pushing the cutting edge, and it's not enough. Well, it's not enough customers that have the ability to push the cutting edge to even make it make sense. Um, which is basically why. It could be a big reason on why cloud gaming, streaming platforms, renting a 4090, and all these companies are trying to figure out a way to get in everyone's pocket, but also continue to push the envelope for innovation. Um, Everybody wants to be able to cloud game. Everybody wants to be able to push the technology forward in a way, and I think that's where the race is coming in for when it comes to this stuff, because people are they're gonna start building experience that you can't have on these previous consoles or in these platforms, and you have to use cloud sometime. And I think that's where we're gonna start to see a lot of bigger adoption, I guess, when we
Mm-hmm.
actually start to see new, innovative, and truly transforming experiences. Hmm. Okay. Well, um, we talked through a lot. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Phil's comments. I think that would be the last thing before we wrap it up here. But he was talking about the math on making games has definitely changed. We've been talking about this throughout this entire pod, and how he pointed and I'm reading off Polygon's actual article by a Chris Plant, basically saying that his views point to a collision of rising budgets, diversifying business models, and exceptional financial risk now required to meet the audience expectations of a AAA release. He specifically pointed to the astronomical budgets of big budget games, which have created a knot problem that have been a challenge to disentangle. And for Spencer, the path forward to abandon assumptions about exclusivity is the path forward is to abandon assumptions about exclusivity and track new customers who have cooled on the console experience. So they are trying to attract new people that don't want to buy consoles no more, and people that are probably just playing on their tablets, and people that are probably just playing on PCs. And they're also understanding that big budget gaming is just not where it's at. All this kind of tells me the same thing over and over again, is that they are thinking 20 steps ahead of all of us. They don't want us to they don't want us to they have the data to tell us where we at anyway. Even though we want to pretend like we're somewhere. Data probably shows ain't nobody on the Xbox. Everybody playing their games on PC or cloud or something like that. They know. We just pretend like we don't. So there's plenty of things that they know that they probably have access to that probably will tell this that this is the most common and this makes the most sense. Closed platforms are big trouble. So nothing too much to add. How long do y'all think it's gonna be before consoles are dead? I say
That's a tough call.
I say 15. I say 10. Actually, I say 15 and 10. No, actually, I'm wrong. Nintendo will always have a console. I'm tripping. I guess the two I'm talking about is PlayStation and Xbox. I think 15 years from now we probably won't even have one. It's gonna be some weird function that you just log into. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see though. I think tech will always be around. Everybody wants to see new tech. I just think that the tech that we're going to, AI controlled, AI based, it probably doesn't make sense to have versions of it. It probably make something that's continuous, that develops and continues on. So how do you sell them a bigger, better console that really don't need it when it's just software based? You don't. Might run on it natively somewhere, but it's probably gonna be talking to the server so much that it's gonna be just an empty box. That's my thought. I think online stuff is just gonna make it. This stuff is gonna make it where everybody's pushing for innovation, and they don't realize probably that the innovation is probably going to continue to be AI driven, machine learning driven, something that you probably can't afford, and they can probably gonna have to offer to you as a service. And at that point, it really isn't a way to own what you're trying to play. That's my thought. I don't think it's gonna be a sad thing though. I think it's gonna be a pretty cool situation for people that embrace it, but people that really want to hold on to what they experienced when they grew up probably might be pretty tough. I ain't gonna lie. That's my thoughts. Okay. That's pretty much all I had though. Anything to add before we wrap it up?
No, I think that if things continue as they are, like you said, they will change, and there won't be the need for consoles. I personally don't think that the current consoles market is gonna continue 15 years as is. I think it's not gonna be sustainable. Like whether it's money or development talent or just consumers not buying things, I think that something is going to fail, and then there's going to have to be some sort of shift, whether it's like you said, it's going to be more AI driven, or games are cheaper, or games are services. Something is going to change sooner than that 15 years, and it might end up being different, even more different than what it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing you can't predict is the future. So you're absolutely right. That's why I'm trying to get to a space where I feel like there's comfort in am ownership of the stuff that I have. I think there's comfort in the Steam OS, Steam operating system, or well, Steam itself, the platform. There's comfort in I wouldn't say Game Pass, but at least having my saves somewhere where I can purchase and play again. I don't think Xbox is spending $70 billion to get out the gaming industry soon. I think their cloud functions and save functions will be around for a while. But it really just depends. So, but okay, yeah, that's pretty much all I had. I want to thank you guys for listening as always. Appreciate you, especially if you got to this part. You the real OG. I really want to thank you for listening to us talk about all this gaming news. It's very engaging and intriguing for a lot of the time. So I appreciate y'all getting here to the end. But yeah, thank you again. As always, we'll be back next week with more topics, more things to discuss. Maybe Jalen will give us his true thoughts on the Little Caesars puffs at that time. We didn't get to it today, but maybe we can get to it next time and talk about his saga with Little Caesars Online, with they fake they fake outreach because they don't really care. But yeah, we'll talk to y'all next time. Appreciate y'all joining. But we out. Peace.